Oh, hello. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another Drama Life. I am your host, Theresa White. I'm into we are we've been on our trail for September, so hopefully you can hear and see me because I know that I've been having some tech issues. So hello once again. If you did not hear me, my name is Theresa White. Welcome to another Drama is Life, where we talk about mental and social topics over the lifespan, from what was, what is, and what could be if nothing changes. And so the purpose of Drama is Life is to increase awareness and decrease the stigma of mental health among our African American community, particularly in faith-based communities. But feel free to like, share, subscribe, and share with others. Maybe they can also learn some information on tonight. So, as I was just saying, with Can You Hear Me? um, that is our topic for tonight because we've been on our awareness month. And I hello. Can you hear and see me? Hopefully you can. Again, I keep having wonderful tech issues. So hopefully you've been hearing me the whole time that I've been talking. So I'm going to introduce our special guest on tonight. Her name is Tryla Starling Carter, and she is the host of a seasonal weekly motivational show on Facebook titled Talks with Tryla. They're really good. You should watch them. And basic sign language chats are happening bi-weekly, which I'm going to let her talk a little bit more about that during our talk. She has recently signed with the Guild Talent Group and tutors sign language. Woo woo! Yay! Yay! For more information, she's going to give you how to contact her. You can definitely follow her on Facebook at Talks with Tryla, and also on Instagram. So, in her spare time, she has been professionally performing in the Midwest since 2010. Woo woo! I have had the privilege of having her in one of my productions, and she is phenomenal. She has credits and experience in theater, film, and as a runway model. She's a superstar, is what I call her. So, welcome. As
Hello, hello.
Miss Tryla, Mrs. I'm sorry, Tryla Starling Carter. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you for being here. Hopefully, you can hear and see me okay. I know that was a couple of glitches going on. Seemed like I was having some connection issues, but you could hear me and see me okay?
I can hear and see you okay right now. Yep. I don't think it's just you. I think it's the internet.
Yes.
The
I like
internet.
that answer. I love that answer,
Mm.
actually.
Oh.
We're going to say, blame it on the rain, y'all. Y'all remember that song? Anyway. So,
Blame
welcome,
it on
Tryla.
the internet. Yeah.
Yes. Yay. Anyway. So, as we said before, that this month is Death Awareness Month. And so I want Mrs. Tryla to explain to us regarding this month and how this month became important to her and a passion of hers. So, Mrs. Tryla, please explain a little bit about Death Awareness Month and how your passion for it has developed.
Okay, well, as she says, my name is Mrs. Tryla Stallings Carter. I am very excited to be here today. I love Deaf Awareness Month. It wasn't a month for me; it was a complete lifestyle. My oldest sister, she is deaf, Veronica Stallings. And so for me, English was my second language because ASL, which is American Sign Language, was my first. And my family taught everyone. So by her being the eldest, everyone that came after her had to learn.
Absolutely.
So it's very important to me because I have a family member who whose communication depends upon it. Not only that, as I begin, because some people may have that in their family and they just kind of like, that's them, that's on them, but
Mhm.
it just really touches me because I feel like everyone should be in the loop. I don't know about you or anyone else out there. If you've ever been out of the loop of communication, then you feel left out and then you feel behind trying to catch up. So whatever somebody else is saying or what everybody else is doing, you have that lag, like how we have it in the internet.
Yes.
Okay. Nobody likes or enjoys lag
Right.
or lack of. And so to have a lag or lack of in communication, then that means someone is, that affects them emotionally, whether they want to participate, whether they want to be with you, whether they're happy, whether they're sad. So when I saw how that affects my sister, I'm like, hold up, my sister is everywhere with me. So I am just all hands into Deaf Awareness Month, not
Yeah.
only just teaching sign language, but just to be aware, to dispel a few myths that people may have, or assumptions, I'll say.
Mhm.
And but then also to help close that gap. And that's what I do with the sign language chats. It's not full on interpreting, it's just words that are key to help close the gap of communication, the lack thereof of communication between the hearing world and the hearing impaired deaf world.
Got you. Well, yes, thank you for that explanation. I will admit I have not grew up with a deaf sibling, but my cousin is deaf,
Mhm.
and I was not as gracious as you. I was when and this is something I did not know until I was in college.
So, are y'all just live with me right now? Let me see if I can kind of zero in on the chat. Let me see. Are y'all just live with me? Because I can talk and I can kind of host you here. Can't do it on this one. Let's see if I could kind of see your comments or questions. If you have any questions, definitely put some questions in there and I will gladly answer your questions. Also, let's see here. Any specific words you may want to see today? I know that we will be doing a word. Matter of fact, while we're having this technical difficulty, I'm going to teach you a word, okay? Because I can't see your comments, so I'm sorry. Let's start with the first word, sorry. Let's do the letter S. So you're kind of making a fist, but you're putting your thumb across your hand, your knuckles, right? You're going to take that, put it in the middle of your chest, and give a nice good circle. Sorry. I'm sorry. You can point to yourself and say, I'm sorry. Get that face. You got to get the face expression. Sorry. If you mean it. Now, if you don't mean it, don't say it. But I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Another word that I was preparing for today was therapy. All right. So we're going to move on to word number 2. All right. And that is, we're going to take your hand again into your fist, but instead of leaving your thumb out, you're going to take your index finger and put it on the outside. Uh, and that's how you're going to make your letter T. So your thumb was right here, right? And now you're just going to hook it in, and that is the ASL letter T. T. Okay? T. And then we're going to take our hand, have it nice and flat. Oh, don't lose your T though. Have it nice and flat. And we're going to put it on there and lift it. And that is therapy. So normally you would say, you'll put your hand as a fist and you'll go help, help. But since we're specifically talking about a specific type of help, we are talking about therapy help. So you are going to take the letter T, place it on your hand, and lift. Therapy. Help. Therapy. So you have 3 words for today. Let us take a moment and go through. I was just doing a review with the people. I gave them 3 words.
Yay.
3 words. So if you're out there with me and you are following along, or we are going to go through our 3 words. Teresa, would you like to go through them with me? We're going to do
I
our review.
would.
All right. So we start off with the word sorry, because I'm sorry for the technical difficulties that we're having
Yes.
today.
Thank you.
Can't help them. So we did the letter S, which we explained as being the fist and taking your thumb across your hand. Don't tuck it or anything. This is S. And then we put it in the middle of our chest and did a circle.
And I'm going to put my video
Sorry.
down. So,
Yep.
yeah.
I'm sorry. And then we said we point ourselves and say, I'm sorry. And then you gotta that's right. Get your face with it, because your face has to complete the sentence. I'm sorry. Unless you don't mean it, then you like, you know, your face is a part of your communication.
Yeah, absolutely.
In hearing and in ASL and sign language as well. So I'm sorry. Um, our second word was help.
Uh-oh.
For those who already know, you could do help. And we start off with our hand flat. And then we had our hand, we kind of made a fist, but we kind of put your thumb on top like that, like the letter A. Put it on there and lift. Help. Help. Yeah. Help me. Help me. Okay? Or you need help. So help.
So
And
point to the person first, and that means do you need help? And then
yeah,
the other way around, help me is
help me.
help me. Gotcha.
Or I need help.
Okay.
So you don't do all of the words for ASL. You can. I used to. Sometimes I still do. It does help when you're teaching English and how, where everything goes. Sometimes it helps with that. But in true ASL interpreting, all the words are not there,
Gotcha.
So it's just most of them. So it's like, you need help? You need help? They're really fast. The other one was, what else did we do? We did therapy. because this is about therapy. And so we were doing help specific. So we did the letter T. And with the letter T, you make your S and you hook your finger, your index finger around your thumb. And then we did it in that same help form and lift. And that is therapy. 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 So, did you pass review? For everybody who's out there, I hope you are able to review those words with us. Did you get it?
Well, you do the last one I was hearing and it decided.
So it's just like help,
And what is this one? I missed the word.
therapy.
Really? I love it.
Yep. So it's
I
like
love
helping. Therapy. Therapy.
Yes.
I need therapy. You need therapy.
After these tech issues, absolutely.
Everybody need therapy. Yeah. Everybody gonna need it. So yeah,
I
we
love it.
all need some help.
And
I'm gonna
I
stop.
love that. I love that. And again, I apologize. So maybe I didn't need to tell my story about my cousin, but I was just saying that he's very patient because when I first was speaking with him, I was really excited, right? Like trying to learn all the signs. And then when I got frustrated with myself, I didn't consider that my language shut down for him because I felt like, forget it, I
Mm.
can't do it. I don't, am I doing it right? And then I would just say, forget it. And then he would be like, no. Then after a while, when I would stop, he would just be like, I'm not going to keep talking to you because you you don't want to have patience with me. And so it really taught me compassion and it taught me patience. So I appreciate your all's patience with my wonderful technical issues because think it definitely relates as we talk about communication because there's definitely sometimes glitches and frustrations that happen when we're trying to communicate with one another, whether we are hearing and whether we are hearing impaired. I did want to ask you, particularly for the sign of hearing, do you mind showing us that sign?
So some people are just pointing, like
Okay.
hearing. Some people, I heard some people do like this. I've seen it a couple different ways. So some people, I
Which way do you do it? How do you do it?
point,
Okay.
and I know that's not um, ASL correct,
Okay.
and it's more of a gesturing. Um, because some people feel like, and they'll get louder or something. Huh? What? And it's like, no, I'm saying she can't hear.
Mhm.
She's
Mhm.
deaf. And then they're like, I'm like, so I'm like, so I sometimes gesture a little bit along with ASL. It really depends on who I'm talking to.
Okay.
It truly depends on who I'm talking to or the specific situation. So, but generally it's who am I talking to? So, for example, now look, when I got married, I said, there's some signs we need to know, like when it's time to go. Do you understand what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And it
Mhm.
comes in handy with that or my nieces. I teach my nieces so that way, if they're sitting over there and I need to tell them to shut up or be quiet, I don't know, maybe shut up ain't kind, but that's what it means. Uh, you know, I tell them that
Mhm.
and they catch it clear across the room. I ain't yelling, I ain't looking crazy. That they saw me, I saw them, it's over. So I use it in a lot of different contexts, but I usually try to use the sign, but usually I just point for some
Good
people.
point. Okay. Because I've seen, and I don't know the ASL correct, but I've seen this, and then I've seen
That's
this
death.
speaking. This
And
is
then
that.
yeah. hmm
Okay. Okay. And then what did you say that this is speaking?
Speaking. I've seen people use hearing as well for this as well.
Ooh,
I don't.
I think that would be confusing if this is speaking to do this. That would confuse me, but maybe that's just
Honey, I don't even try to say what is and what is not confusing because I think sometimes for me, learning from ASL and English, but knowing them always simultaneously growing up, you would think some things in English just don't fit, but it works. So there was an older style of ASL called Old English, and it was more of a gesturing. So depending again on your generation
huh.
of someone who is hearing impaired, they probably don't know that sign compared to the new sign that's taking that place.
Gotcha.
So it may take forever, but one thing that has stayed the same is finger spelling. So if you learn your ABCs through finger spelling, you still can communicate. It's not efficient, but like I said, from generation, some older to younger, and then like now the new babies, they have some of the new some added words or different signs, just like we do in English.
Absolutely.
That it's like, okay, I got to go back. I got to go back and take a CE course because I'm lost. What was that? So
Hmm.
it really depends on who or what generation or who I'm speaking to, really.
Yeah. And I didn't even think about that when it comes to generations. Of course, with speaking, there are things that my son is constantly explaining to me when it comes to text or and all like my younger people that I work with. I'm always trying to learn. Like I don't know what you're saying. What are you talking about? And it's again the same language, but it's a different dialect. Just because I'm constantly like, okay, that's a new generation. And again, the same way with my mother would be like, what that mean? And I say that because it's one generation may have used square. And you're like, what is that? And that meant that you were like weird or different things like that. And then so it is each generation has their own dialect is what I like to call it. So
Mhm,
I really appreciate you explaining that,
mhm,
because it also helps me to realize even as um, a clinician that I'm wanting to be aware of making sure that I'm being inclusive when it comes to making sure that I'm learning for everyone's perspective and not just coming from my own. That's not how I say it. That well, you can't reach me if you can't communicate, which is what I was trying to explain. That's what my cousin was finally saying. Okay, well, you're not going to be able to communicate with me, and that was bothering me. So I was like, I need to sit down and learn these signs or learn these letters or whatever I need to learn so I can communicate with him. And that was one of the greatest lessons I think he could have ever given me. That my own communication barrier or my own frustration was not only affecting me, it was going to affect an entire relationship because I was giving up.
mhm.
And he, of course, he's explaining, what do you think it feels like for me? So, and he's
Right,
older
right.
than I am. I won't say he is an adult. He was at the time I was an adolescent. So I'm always trying to be patient, and I'm always asking for patience when I'm talking to someone that is hearing impaired because I'm like, I'm trying to make sure I communicate. So anyway, I say that because I really appreciate your explanation to help us to be aware of our own barriers. And I say that because when I do embody work as a drama therapist, I'm always watching for body language. And I always encourage people and remind them that your first language was with your body. You couldn't use words when you came out the womb. You made
Hmm.
sounds,
Right.
but your foundational language is with your body, with your facial expressions. Your parent
Yeah.
was like, "Nope, she don't have to go to the bathroom. She's hungry," and they knew based on the interactions of your body and them learning you. And so I know that it takes time and takes patience, but it also takes that connection and that desire to make sure that we're communicating on all levels. So I say that because I appreciate that. So I do want to ask you, um, just kind of as I guess since our time is spent a little bit, I do want to ask you with regards to the generation is how has using sign enhanced your communication with others or helped it?
Ooh. I'm more aware, maybe more alert. Um, I'm always scanning a room. If I'm in a room, I'm scanning it. I'm consistently doing this. It's pure habit. um, I want to say not habit. It's part of my nature at this point because I was always listening for my sister. And so always listening for her meant I'm overlooking, I'm over, more than just the okay, and then what's in my peripheral. No, I'm literally scanning the room probably like every 5 seconds, if not more, or 10 if I'm relaxed, or if it's just family, but I'm always like, okay, are you okay? Are you okay? I'm always going down the line of checking a room. So I always pick up on clues real quick. If something ain't right in the facility I'm in, I'm about to know. That along with being in theater, you always have to be aware of your surroundings. So, they begin to go hand in hand of continually making sure you were on your spot, on the stage, or where you were supposed to be in the theater, or if something's going wrong, you got to hurry up and improv over here, So it really helped. They both begin to go hand in hand, but I'm always aware of my surroundings. And by me being aware of my surroundings, I'm able to kick in and help or learn a situation a little bit more like, oh, okay, they don't like that. hmm but
Mhm.
I can like you can see something over here and it's like, okay, let me help over here. Like, oh, this is going down. How did you know that? Honey, because 5 seconds ago it wasn't in that particular situation. Their countenance changed, their look changed, they begin to slump, I could see it. Just like when you have people who are deaf and hearing impaired when they drive, they usually can see the siren or the police car way before I hear it or you hear it. And it's like they're pulling over and everybody else is still zooming. You what are you doing? And then they be like, look, and you look at their
Mm.
rearview mirror, you're like, oh, here it coming, and you'll find then it's almost like your ear will connect with what you saw, and then you hear the siren. So it makes me way more ahead, aware of my surroundings. So I ignore a lot of stuff that I see, but I see it. Yeah.
It's and I say that because I can imagine that could be overwhelming sometimes if you're taking in so much and not filtering through, especially if you're like you said watching all the time and not ignoring and trying to respond to everything. I guess I would say it is
Right.
really interesting that I say that because when it comes to like shutting down one of the senses, the other ones always perk up.
hmm
So when I'm working with somebody and we're working on sound, or I turn off and I completely turn off sound, or completely heighten, turn off light, so that their ears tune in, and so vice versa. Then they start to see what they didn't see before, and so like you were saying, then you can their eyes become their ears, so to speak.
hmm
We have depended on hearing so much for those who are hearing, that we don't always catch that our eyes can also read a situation for us as well, and we don't appreciate what the other senses can do because we are so dependent on our hearing. So when you said it, I'm like, yeah, absolutely, especially driving, you have to definitely um, watch for everything, because people I can hear and people still, I'm like, what in the world is happening? So I would imagine that you're more, like you said, more aware and more alert, and that always
Yeah.
helps with the safety feature, that we don't get relaxed, that we are aware of our surroundings. Like you said, communicating with others, because driving is a way, we're in our cars, we're communicating. If I want to cut
hmm
you off and go over here, or I don't pull over when I'm supposed to, that's definitely interaction, and that we don't always consider. So I
Right.
appreciate you bringing that up.
Yeah.
So, so what is a way, as we are closing out tonight? So, thank you for our signs, that you have shown us tonight. So, I want you guys, as we say all the time, practice your signs with loved ones. Definitely. I want to ask Mrs. Twyla Carter if she would um, help us, give us some tips on how we can engage with Death Awareness Month. What can we do? I know we have a few days left. Is there anything in particular that we can do to really help bring awareness even for ourselves?
Um, First of all, I would say I'm always like, take a course. That's one. Take a course, or at minimum, learn your alphabet. Yes and no. I always say those come in handy, and I'm going to give my a little brief example. I knew of someone who was in the hospital, and that was because they were tubed and everything else like that. You know, they were trying to do the blink one, blink twice, and they were able to give a true answer of yes and no.
Yeah,
Um, and that really helped them during that time period. So I recommend everybody at least know yes and no, because that could, comes in handy when you can't speak. That's, medical, that comes in handy, with your children and you when
absolutely.
you're out in public and you can't yell, like, got to be quiet for whatever reason, safety reasons. If you're in danger, you can say yes, like, are they over here? Yes or no, or can you talk? No, learn yes, no in your alphabet.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying that's it. I'm
Right.
saying do that. That's very minimal. As far as working and interacting with deaf people in your community and in your area, I know there's a lot of schools that actually just have either a deaf teacher in your area that may be able to help you with schools or help you with young people that are in your area. In the Indianapolis area, we have ISD, so we can just jump in there and have all kinds of fun. But definitely get online, look up, see if you see any fairs, things like that. But most of all, um, and I want to. Can I do a myth buster?
Please, please.
Here's a myth buster to close out. Not everybody who is deaf can read your lips. Not and your lips might not be saying what you're saying because you don't move them all the time and be talking like that. That don't
Yes.
help anybody really. I don't know, but not everybody who is deaf can read your lips. So don't assume that. So I always it does help. It helps, but not everyone can. So I always, you know, either jot down something or if someone doesn't even for me, if they do a sign I don't know, I'm like, okay, spell that for me. And they'll finger spell it. So, just write it out and be patient. Most of all, like you said, be patient. Someone was patient with you. Please be patient
Absolutely.
with them because they are just like anyone foreign or something like that. They are integrating their language with yours.
Mhm.
So definitely be patient, but most of all, um, have fun have have fun. If you like, I'll say in your situation, you were stressed out about it, you was frustrated with yourself. They just want to talk.
Yeah.
They're excited for someone that's willing to jump into their culture, and they're like, okay, well, come on with it, come on, talk to me. And you're like, oh, and they're like, relax,
Yeah.
relax. You're gonna give yourself a headache. Just
Yeah.
spell it out. So but most of all, have fun.
I love that. Thank you. I was going to say your sister definitely was one that I had to finger spell everything, and that was my first time meeting her. And it was like one of the best conversations. And I have to remember that like she was patient enough to like help me to really sit through all of my finger spelling. Um, and that's when I think I fell in love with her. But anyway,
Oh,
uh,
that's my
because again,
girl.
and it's because my cousin taught me like, wait, this. So I was like, please be patient. She was like, no, I'm patient. And I could see her saying like you were saying, like I got it. And then she sat there like, and I can't even remember how long we talked because your other sister, walked away and just let us sit there and talk. It was so great. And so I definitely, as Mrs. Twyla Carter has stated, I am in a course right now. And that is one of the ways that I am learning. I am in just to refresh because I'm not around my cousin anymore. Um, And so that's why I was like, I'm here, watching signs and how they teach it in class, and then how to, when I'm watching people who are communicating in the deaf culture, I'm just like, that's okay. And I have to remember the same way when I learned Spanish. When I actually talked to someone who spoke Spanish, they was like, we don't talk like that. That's not how, the same way if somebody came and spoke English. They're like,
Yes.
hello, how are you? How is you're like, we don't talk like that. You must
Mm-mm.
just now be learning English. We like, hey, what's going on? And so it is again, it's that dialect. And so I'm excited to learn ASL in the classroom style. And I'm trying to be patient with myself, because just again trying to relearn things that I haven't used in a few years. So anyway, I definitely, as Tryla has said, I would encourage you to take a class. The one that I'm taking is free. And so they're offering it for this month because it's Deaf Awareness Month. And so I purposely looked it up. And so I'm really excited. They're offering 101 and 102. Please reach out to me if you want to get that class, because I am excited to be in it. And it is online, so you can do it yourself. So I am excited. Thank you so much, Tryla, for being here. And
Yeah.
again, be patient with people. And again, even for those who are hearing, body language is our first language. And so you don't have to be frustrated with yourself or with other people when you're trying to communicate. It's important, as Tryla just mentioned, to use your eyes as well, and not just quickly try to get away from a conversation. Unfortunately, like I did in my immaturity, you want to make sure that you are patient with people on all levels of communication styles. So thank you so much, Tryla, for being here. Is any other last minute things you want to share with our audience before we end tonight?
No, definitely go through your words, which is therapy, help, and sorry.
Yeah.
Yes,
And then she
that's
said
your word.
no,
I
and
did say
then
no.
yes,
And yes.
yes. So no,
No and yes.
yes.
Definitely, if you have the time to jump over to my page, talk to Tryla. I do motivational speaking. I also do American history, focused on Black history during our time. So definitely jump over there if you have time. I usually try to keep anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour, something to clean and listen to and get fed into to help motivate you to get to the next level. Motivation is often hard, and sometimes you got to pull it out of yourself. And so I definitely lead talks with Tryla with motivating, along with history and a little bit of music, have a little fun there. And then also I try to do daily, if not every other day, a new sign language word that you can throw into your repertoire. And then at the end of the month or week, it depends on whenever I'm free, I do a review for the ASL. And that's because as of right now, I'm actually getting ready to jump into filming. So I'm a little bit of everywhere, but I'm always with you.
Yeah.
So I'm always with you. So you'll always see me. But definitely go to Talks with Tryla, check out that page. You will definitely love it. There's definitely a whole lot in there for you. And if you go to my Instagram page, you will definitely see all of that. You might even get a little taste of my personal life, which I usually don't plaster all my personal stuff on Facebook, but in Instagram you get a little bit of that. So definitely follow
Yes.
me, like, share, comment. If you have any other questions, as she stated, you can always inbox me and I will be glad to answer.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for our signs. Again, you guys practice, practice. If you, again, nothing else, yes and no, as Ms. Tryla stated, so that you can be able to communicate. Um, and then again, be patient with yourself and with others. Thank you so much for being here, Tryla. Thank you guys for joining tonight. For those who are going to watch the live later, feel free to share and to like and subscribe, and you'll join us again for more Drama is Life. You guys have a blessed week. Bye bye.